I documented what they weren't: the indiscriminate shelling of residential areas by Ukraine, the targeting of civilian areas by Ukraine. I mean, my wife is from Donetsk, and her childhood home was destroyed by Ukrainian shelling, as well as the majority of her childhood neighborhood. So, I mean, these are the facts of the things that happened in the Donetsk and Lugansk territories long before 2022, when Russia came into this war. From 2014 till 2022 is when this civil war took place. And of course, Ukraine and the West claimed Russia had invaded all the way back in 2014. That was the narrative then. But eventually that kind of slowly went away when they realized that this 8-year war wasn't really, there was no regular Russian troops taking part in that. This was a civil war that was lightly supported by the West. Ukraine supported by the West.
Wait, may I ask you a question to clarify something? So you said that your wife's childhood home was destroyed by shelling from the Ukrainian government. Why were they shelling your wife's house? Like, was her family part of the fighting? Why would they do that?
Well, they pretty much leveled most of her childhood home, or childhood neighborhood, where her mother's home was. This neighborhood is just one of the many around Donetsk, in the suburbs of Donetsk, and specifically around the Donetsk airport. The Donetsk airport was like a symbol of the war back in 2014, 2015, where there was literally so much fighting. There were two terminals. One terminal had the Ukrainian forces in it. One had the Ukraine government forces, or rebels, or pro-Russian forces, whatever you want to call them, the locals that took up arms to fight to try to break away from Ukraine. And they were fighting, and basically Ukraine leveled, not completely leveled, but damaged, if not destroyed, the majority of the homes all around this area, around the airport, just with indiscriminate shelling and of the areas, the neighborhoods, and just destroying or seriously damaging almost every home. And it just so happened my wife's childhood home was one of those. Thank God her family and her made it out okay. They were living there when the war started, and they made it out okay, but the house was destroyed. And this is just one example of many homes and families that lost everything in the war.
I don't remember hearing in the United States at the time that there was a war in Ukraine. I mean, my sense is this was basically ignored completely, and that Ukraine at that time was effectively under the control of the Obama administration. That was my sense.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't really understand what was really happening on the ground. But basically, I mean, it goes back to the Maidan Revolution, or whatever you want to call it. It's all in the eye of the beholder. The locals in the eastern part of Ukraine at that point looked at the Maidan Revolution as an illegal coup supported by the West, where ended up with their democratically elected president, Yanukovych, removed from office without them having anything to say about it, and which effectively made their Ukraine dead and not in existence anymore after a puppet government was put in by the United States and the West. So the people of the Donetsk and Lugansk areas they said, okay, well, that's not our Ukraine. Ukraine's gone. Some of them were patriots for Ukraine before. They just said, okay, we don't have anything to do with that. We're going to have a vote. We're going to vote ourselves what to do with the right of self-determination. And Ukraine and the West did not want to respect the right of determination. And Ukraine basically, in the words of the locals, punished them for them trying to break away from Ukraine. And every local family knew someone or had a member of their family injured or killed in the attacks by Ukrainian forces on the civilian areas of these regions, specifically the cities of Donetsk and Lugansk.
Amazing. Data hawks are collecting your information anytime you visit a website. Every time you go online, every time you create an account, you make an online purchase, your data is out there and you have no control over who sees it or what they do with it. So it's only a matter of time until somebody tries to exploit these facts that you have no privacy at all. Use your information to steal your identity and maybe bankrupt you. It happens all the time. It's happened to friends of ours, kids. And that's why we use Identity Guard. Identity Guard helps by giving you control. It monitors your most sensitive information for any signs of suspicious activity. If someone's trying to steal your identity, you know right away, often before real damage can be done, before you're on the hook for the money. So if in fact your identity is stolen, the expert team will work directly with banks, credit card bureaus, other institutions to fix the problem for you. So it's not the disaster you fear it is. While they handle the cleanup, you're backed by up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, which is a huge relief. Imagine waking up and finding out that someone in a foreign country is using your name and social security number to steal money from you. It happens all the time. So the team there is available 24/7 if you ever need help. There are no bots, there are no call centers offshore. It's based in the United States. They know exactly what you need. Somebody becomes a victim of identity theft about every 6 seconds, constantly. So don't let the next one be you. Visit identityguard.com/Tucker for 30 days free, plus a special discount if you want more. Sign up before this happens to you. identityguard.com/Tucker. So you've been there, rotating in and out, or living there ever since all these years. How did things change 3 years ago when the war began?
Well, it was quite an interesting time, as you can imagine. Just a couple of days before it all started with Russia. Russia officially came in. Russia officially recognized the Lugansk and Donetsk republics as separate from Ukraine. And the people had celebrations on the streets out of just celebrating the fact that Russia recognized them. And they knew that that meant that Russia was going to be helping these republics. And then days later, Russia came across the border, and the war between Ukraine and Russia started. One way or another, the war between Russia and the West has started, Western weapons at least. And as many people around the world thought it was going to go a lot quicker than it has, I myself did a report in the center of Donetsk where I assumed and thought that Russia was going to be pushing Ukraine back within days from the city of Donetsk. Because you have to imagine the front line of Donetsk was just on the outskirts of the city. We're talking from the center of the city to the edge, just about to the front line, just about 5 miles, with often just straight shelling hitting the center of the city. And as we know, it didn't end in 3 days like General Miley has said it would. And there's been a lot of intense battles around these areas. And in fact, right now, I believe there is 8 regions between what is internationally recognized as Ukraine, or Russia recognizes as Russia. But overall, there's 8 regions that have active fighting. Some are Russian, some are pre-war Russian, after-war Russian, whatever you want to call it. We've got the Zaporozhye region, Kherson region, Donetsk region, and Lugansk region, which all 4 of those had referendums in 2022 September, where the Russian-backed referendums, unrecognized by the West, where they voted to join Russia. And then shortly after, Russia took them in officially. And then in addition to those 4 regions, you've got 2 regions of Russia, the Belgorod region of Russia, and the Kursk region of Russia, where Ukraine came across the border and incurred on pre-2022 Russia. And in the area of Kursk, they controlled last August about 1,500 square kilometers. Since then, it's been really reduced by Russian forces. But in addition to those 6 territories, we've also got the Sumy region of Ukraine, which there's some villages and territory that Russia controls. And there's active, very intense fighting going on there. And now that's borders the Kursk region. So basically, Russia went past the territory that was controlled by Ukraine in the Kursk region of Russia and took territory in the Sumy region. Now, also in the Kharkov region of Ukraine, Russia controls some territory as well. And again, intense fighting going on there.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.